So at this point, a lot of you have seen that change is here, change is coming. And some of you have had some questions, and we wanted to start the dialogue. You know, very on point to Nicole and I. A rebrand, a transformation, it's all going to be in dialogue with you guys. And as we said in our other video, I mean, it was so much, and it has been, and it is so much this from inside out experience. And we're now just getting into the outer rings where we're able to share it with you. But really, all of this structure and change and transformation is happened inside. It's been embodied before we're here in this conversation. And so some of you have asked like what this means around the twin flame subject, around what we're going to be talking about and things like that. And so we wanted to jump in and give it a little bit of
care.
Give it a little bit of care.
Love and care. And thank you. Thank you for bringing that topic up. You know, just because we are in a rebrand doesn't mean that, you know, the part of Dove and I's legacy and complete soul evolution was and is and will always be because of our union. That mirroring, that connection, that love, that seeking truth within one another, seeing each other as whole, seeing where we are distorted, and allowing the other person to tell us, yo, you got a blind spot, Nick. I mean, you got some blind spots, Nick. And being able to receive that as love, I can only speak for myself, but and to be able to, because in the beginning I wasn't going to receive. Like, if Dove, come on, how many of you know this in a relationship when your partner tells you some things about yourself and you're like, you don't want to, there's just these moments where you don't have trust. Here's the thing. There was moments in the relationship where we hadn't built the trust within ourselves and for each other and with each other. And so, you know, then somebody else would tell me the same thing that Dove's been telling me for years. And I'd be like, baby, I just saw this thing about myself. And Dove's just sitting there like, you know, like not rolling her eyes, because that's me sometimes. But she's just like, you could see her eyelashes flipping back. Like, she's like, I've been telling you this for the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And then I have to say, I know, and I'm sorry I couldn't receive it from you, but like, I know now, right? So being able to have that, and all of that is done through love. Trust comes from love. Honesty comes from love. All of these principles come from love, from the frequency of unconditional love from our creator. And so when we start to embody that, we start to get, we right size ourselves, and our souls had the opportunity to step in. So Dove and I's relationship is one of the most, I would say, the most pivotal part of our soul evolution. And my recovery from addiction is up there with that.
Well, what I feel like you're talking about is catalytic experiences.
Absolutely.
Right? Like activating catalytic experiences. So meeting certain soul connections are catalytic experiences. They activate us. They're like, I've been saying this since day one, it's like getting paddles, right? Like paddles into remembering something. They're jolting. They're explosive. They're awakening. And, you know, it's the critical part. I know this is a little bit of a controversial thing to say. It's sometimes it's less critical what that relationship will be, or if it'll even be a relationship, than what you do with the gift of that activation. And I think that people get lost in, I'm gonna attach, right? And God, there's so much I want to say, so I want to try to come back to talking about like, what does this stuff mean, and now we're getting into content, but I also want to be here with you guys about this. So we attach. Our wounding goes, I feel connected to this person, I feel a familiarity to this person, therefore I'm going to possess them. I have to attach to them. And then we attach meaning and label, like I have to be with them. This means this is my person. If I feel familiarity with them in a way that I've never felt, if I feel activated fully and completely, if I feel, then that means it has to be this. And so we create attachment. The problem is in that attachment and in that story and in that drive, I think that people can really miss the activation and then what to do with that activation.
Absolutely.
And I think that, this is relevant on a lot of fronts, but I think it's relevant too for this video because a great deal of our work, like people who have moved into the room of working with us privately, who have walked through that door, they learned, right? They learned, and some of you guys even out there, like I saw some comments in the videos recently, and thank you all for your support. It honestly means so much.
Yes.
I don't
to me too.
know if you know how much it means, but it means a profound amount to us. So thank you. And we're excited for you to journey with us in this process. But I saw some of your comments say like, and for people that we haven't worked with privately, saying, thank you for showing me the big picture. I started seeing the big picture, right? And it's like when people realize the bigger picture is their evolution, is what they do with that activation. It's the fact that catalyst showed those wounds and the opportunity to heal those wounds and the opportunity to become really sovereign and the opportunity to gain union with themselves and the divine. We've been talking about this since day one. So, wow, so much I want to say to you guys. All right, hold on. It's just, there is like messages upon messages upon messages that are just coming through, and it's like, how do we get all of that into one space and video? So I'm just giving myself a moment, and I want to hear from Nick. And
yeah, I just wanted to say, I wanted to add to what you were saying real quick while you're thinking.
Please. And I'm not even thinking. There's millions of things coming through.
I don't stay with her because of her being my deep soul connection. That's not why I'm in this relationship. This relationship makes me feel alive and free, and I get to be the best version of myself. And the more I am the truest version of myself, the more that this woman loves me and she holds me in my truest version. That's why I'm with her. So I just want to say that if it wasn't that, and I had labeled it TF, I wouldn't stay in something that I don't feel like both parties are feeding and loving it and caring for it and honoring it in the way that we do. And so I just want to say that because I know that we have made multiple videos around the distortions around it, and we will continue to do so. And we will continue to talk about relationships in general because, as Dove said, union with God, union with ourselves, union with humanity, your relationships with your parents, your siblings, there are wounding there. Yes. There is things there. And so the only way to heal those things is through connection with other people, both romantic and both friendship-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna wiggle right now because I gotta get my foot loose.
I didn't know it. Yeah.
We're here being real.
Yeah.
So okay. So what does this mean, right? Okay, so we have a lot of new things that we want to say around relationships, around sacred soul connections, around TF subjects. But what's changing, as we said in the other video, is it's really more about the front facing matching the internal facing, right? As I said, like when people come into our space, they come into our work, they come into our programs, they realized, and again, if you really listened to our content, it was interesting. I was going back and listening to some videos from day 0, right? I started with the first video on YouTube here. And I was listening, I was thinking, I wonder how far away we've progressed from what we were talking, because evolution needs to happen.
For sure.
But the core principles of doing root cause healing, the core principle of connecting to the divine, yourself and the divine primarily.
Yes.
The core principle of the TF journey being this catalytic experience, that stuff is there. It stayed. And it was really beautiful for me to look at and go, wow, that message is congruent, and it is still congruent for us now moving into this next iteration. And Nicole brought it, kind of alluded to it. There is a profound amount of distortion, around any concept that a human creates.
Yes.
Right? And let me back up. Not that a human creates, any concept that a human tries to translate.
Yes.
Right? So someone once felt the twin flame connection and went, whoa, this is, and then they had to try to translate. The minute we try to translate, we already meet some level of distortion when we try to bring it into words. And then from there, the concept meets others and others and others. And when a concept meets our wounds, it becomes its most distorted form. So is it a surprise? Are we going to talk a lot about this in the future? We'll talk more, we'll make more videos. Is it a surprise that there's tremendous distortion around the concept? No. Is it a surprise that people have used this as justification to stay in horrible, abusive dynamics and to feel like they're completely losing themselves? No, because the wounding is there, right? And so there's a lot to talk about. And so let's back it up a little. What does this mean? Someone asked. They said in paraphrase, are you gonna disavow the twin flame, theory? Are you gonna do X, Y, and Z? What does this mean? And I think, and I want to say, this is fucking hard. This stuff is hard. Let's get really human, right? We are humans showing up, dedicating our lives to provide the clearest message, the most support that we can, while listening to our integrity, our divine guidance, handing our mission, our purpose over to the divine and saying, like, I'm going to serve in the way that you asked me to serve as a vessel.
Yes.
Guys, what this means is that we're not for everybody, right? We're not for everybody. Not everyone is going to be happy with this transition. Not everybody's going to be happy with our messages. Not everybody was happy with our messages. And on a human level, like, that is hard sometimes. That is hard because we're not just behind a screen. We're people having an experience, still processing our own things at times, and the truth is that more than ever, we won't be for everybody because it's so important for us to speak the line of truth that we are given. Because here's the thing. It's gonna blow the top off some of your lives. It is going to transform for those that are aligned with it. It's going to transform your lives the way that it has transformed our lives.
Absolutely.
Because we are going to speak from what we have experienced. And so we're going to go to a deeper root. We're going to acknowledge that there are many catalysts: twin flame, near death, right? Other soul connections, addiction. There are other things that paddle us. We're going to talk about those things in the ascension journey, but we're going to keep going back to the deepest root so that you can create something so unbelievably profound inside of yourself that you then get to masterfully choose what you create outside. I know you're really excited to talk.
Yeah,
I love you for holding space. I love you. I love you.
You're going to hear me say God, 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 God. God, you're going to hear me say God over and over again. You're going to hear me say God because I had God wounds. Actually, I had human ideas of God wounds. And the reason I say God is because I have a personal relationship with God, with this unconditional love frequency that has been with me from the time that I was a cell up until now, hasn't left me. And I'm building a relationship where miracles are happening in my life. And I like to use that word specifically because I am not God. I am an offspring of that. That means I have characteristics of that. That means that when I go inward, I can touch that. And so you're going to hear me use it a lot, and I'm going to say it unapologetically because the work that I did around that word, for me, it doesn't have to be for you, right? And that's the thing, and that's the beauty about this work, and that's the beauty about this earth, and that's the beauty about it, is that we get to choose for ourselves. And Dove and I are always going to tell you, you have to choose what feels good. If you were brought up in a specific religion and that feels good to you, stay with that religion. If you change the way you look at the religion and you're like, whoa, there's just some distortion there, but I see the potential and I see the goodness in this part, and that's what you're running with, do it. If you've completely shifted out out of that and your beliefs have completely changed and they make you feel alive and you go with that. You let it guide you. Everything that stepped in front of you, every friggin' thing that has stepped in front of you, it matters. There's something in it for you in some way. Whether you're here to dismantle the religion that you are in, to bring out the goodness that's in it, in the spirit that's in it, where you don't believe in religion anymore, but you are in spirituality. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that we miss. All these pieces, all these puzzle pieces, all these truths, right? You'll see threads through all of it. You'll see the love in all of the religion. You'll see the truth in all of it. And you get to hold on to those pieces. Dove and I have held on to those pieces. I've read, books of Buddhist principles, and I'm like, oh, it's so yummy. Right thought, right action, right thought, like right speaking, like all of this energy that I believe in when I hear Christ's words. Christ's actual words. I hear universal principles on how to create a reality, heaven on earth. Now, when I look at multiple religions and I hear the golden rule is in all of them, treat others as you treat yourself, there's something to that. That is a truth where it's like, if you can freaking hold on to that and you can love others the way you love yourself or you think about yourself, you're understanding unity, consciousness. We're here to bring truth. We're here to break it down. We're here to talk about hard subjects. We're here to talk about what we're seeing right now on planet Earth. We're here to hear your questions and your frustrations and your shadow coming out and your wounding coming out so that you can get closer to the truth within you so that you can be free and joyous. Freedom.
I appreciate that Nicole shared this, and to go even a step further. I mean, first of all, if you guys have followed us since the beginning and you really listened, look, we did the Sunday sermons, right? Nick's been talking about this, her journey. We've always used the word God. We've always connected to Christ consciousness. This is not new stuff, right? But we hear things selectively sometimes, and maybe you missed it, or maybe you... So I'll reiterate. This is still a safe space of love and transformation and is non-denominational. And we use these words because they have a very powerful frequency. And if it connects for you, if you're hearing it in some way, even if it creates a certain level of agitation, but it connects, then come and journey and experience. And here's the thing. If the words don't work for you, it doesn't block you from having the message. You can sub them, you can connect to them differently, but it's about us showing up authentically and being able to use words. And I have my own journey, and we'll make more videos, right? You guys can ask us in the comments to elaborate on things and talk more about subjects, and we will make more videos about our experience with God, we will talk about these things. But really what I invite you to do is just, I know these are so charged, such charged, big, profound thing. The fundamental truth is that all things source from our divine parent wound, right? So I'm going to use divine parent right now as the energy, divine parent. God, source, infinite intelligence, the divine parent. All that wounding comes from the illusion of separation and yes, builds from that space. We build all our stuff. So of course, we're gonna have things to work on in that area. And then that affects how we relate to all others, all other projections, and us being able to access the divine, the God self within, because we have that. We've got that Absolutely. Divine self, that super conscious. We've got that divinity inside, whatever word you want to use, but you have that divinity. So rejecting it without and rejecting it within kind of come together. And if yes, you want to create this extraordinary life, this unbelievable experience, right, then you don't have to adopt any particular set of faith, but the journey for you personally about reclaiming and healing that process is definitely a part of that evolution. And so are we going to talk about those things? We're going to talk about them. Have we always talked about them? We've always talked about them. Do we understand them at an even deeper level and want to share that with you? Yes.
Yes.
it is our union and our connection, whatever label we want to put or don't want to put, is that profoundly important and part of what we've created? Of course. You know, I'm going to leave the name of the text out so that it doesn't keep you from hearing the message, but there is a text out there, and it has such a beautiful concept around relationships. And it says that, you know, a relationship, any kind of relationship, is about teaching and learning. And that when the ratio is perfect and remains constant, those are the relationships that can endure. And one thing that I will say is that our teaching learning ratio has always been really there, really strong. We're in that constant teaching learning ratio, and that's a big part of the relationship, and it has activated us into the work, and we love to be able to do it. And we're also excited to be our own sovereign selves.
Yes.
You know, and Nicole has her beautiful music and her care for animals, and I love animals too, but she's doing advocacy and amazing stuff, and I am doing more art, and I am,
really good.
you know, creating in my home and in design and in, you know, cooking and all of these areas. And I want to talk about the body. We bring something together, and we bring something individually. So there's a lot more to say, right? And we want to just thank you for staying in the conversation. We want to thank you for staying in the conversation, and yeah, no human is for everybody, because they're going to hear something in a way that it filters in another way, and so on and so forth. And so the hard part at a human level is that we won't make everyone happy. But the exciting part at a human level is that we won't make everybody happy. Because we're not here to co-sign delusion and distortion. And people that work with us, that's part of what they work with us for. They're like, take away the programming, take away the bullshit, like take away the delusion. Because I have goals, I have desires, and I want to be my full potential. And we can't do that with all our programming. And that requires certain confrontation of ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so even though it's hard for us sometimes, because we love all of you and we're human, we promise to be confrontational without judgment, without the desire or the intention ever to create separation or to judge or condemn, because it's useless. And it's not the mandates that we were just talking about.
Absolutely. And, you know, we get to continuously redefine things and talk about these things in a way that allows for the consciousness to not only like hear the thing, but you feel it in your being. And, you know, we start to unlock. And this process that we're about to go through together is really a deconstruction and reconstruction of something just very, very real within you.
Ooh, I feel so much energy moving when you say that.
And it's such a beautiful thing, because we hold on to our identities and the things that we created as these Nicole Peretti, you know, the identity that I gave myself is continuously dying away. And something truer is where I'm like, that's not even me at all. Attaching ourselves to our defects, attaching ourselves to all these shortcomings. Like, I'm just anxious, I'm just depressed, I'm just aggressive, I'm just defensive, I'm just a loner, and it's like, but are you really that? Why are you that? And when you start to look at yourself in truth and get real honest, when I was talking about Dove and I like really bringing truth, I could see some things that I was willing to see, but I didn't want to see some of the shit that she saw. I was like, girl. Now it's like, now I'm like seeing things about myself that I'm willing to see, and I'm like, holy. And the reason why I'm willing to see them is because this connection that I have, and I will use the word divinity, the divine, the most highest frequency, the most high, my greatest parent, where I come from, that light, that I know is in my heart, when I can feel that energy and my nervous system calms, I trust, I feel safe to look. I feel safe to look. And that's what we've been building, that safety to look at these things so that I don't have to go into shame and beat myself, where I get to go, oh, you're human. You did those things to survive. And now it's time to change, Nick, and grow up. And that's okay. And you can do this. And you're not alone. And you're supported. And, you know, it was interesting. This morning I was thinking about all the support I have. And it's not just, you know, my therapist and Dove and like, you know, like going to meetings. Like, I got my barber who's dope as heck. I got our homegirl that actually does our makeup when we have to go to events. I got support for every little thing in my life. I don't have to do nothing alone. I don't have to be like the greatest at all things. Like, I get to have people be their genius self and step in and support me on every which level because of what I'm creating. And because I get to take all this goodness that is going on within me, that safety, that trust, all those beautiful principles, right, that I was talking about before, that run through everything, these beautiful principles we get to live by and then share with each other. And it's that simple. And then we get to revel in it together.
There's so much that I want to say, and we're going to say more. We're going to do some more videos. We've got a lot of stuff that we want to talk about still on the TF journey, because it's important, and it's messages that we've cultivated over the last years that we haven't shared with you guys. So even though that won't be necessarily the primary content, you know, it's about it will be we will make sure we get those videos out, and there will be an essence, right? Here what we're doing is we're going, as I said, more to the root, more to the essence. So you're gonna know if this resonates for you. And a lot of you are saying, like, I'm ready. And here's what I want to end with. You've been changing. You have been growing. And we've been growing. So we can't stay in that past. We can't all talk about the same thing forever and be in the same stagnant spot. I was writing an email to you guys yesterday. And if you're not on our email list, like, get on the email list so that we can, you know, make sure to stay in touch. Make sure you're on our Instagram and our Facebook. I was writing an email and I felt this message come through, and it was like, if you're ready to let go, and this isn't just about us, and be open to what we have coming, but also for yourself. Where is your availability? As Nicole was saying, the most inaccurate statement I've ever heard somebody say is, this is just who I am.
I've been there.
If you know, you know. If you don't know right now, I'm just planting a seed. We'll talk about it later, but it is the most inaccurate statement. There's
Absolutely.
no such thing. And are you holding on? Are you holding on so much to the past? So much to an idea of what you've labeled things, so much to who you were, maybe you don't even realize, so much to who we were, that you're not in the present blessing, and your hands aren't open to the future promise that is here. And so,
thank you.
Maybe give yourself a moment, not just to be open to the present blessing of what we are going to be doing, and, you know, as it relates to, but your life. Where are you holding on? Where do you not even realize you are? Where did you maybe not even see what is present for you now that is different? Where are you trying to repeat it over and over? So I hope this message was helpful and illuminating and engaging. And we're going to continue to do this with you and continue to have these discussions. And so we ask you to let us know where you are in the comments and what you want us to talk about more and how it makes you feel. We ask you to remember that we're human and to create a space of responsible kindness and a space that you are building with us, that you are invested in, and creating that community together. That requires questions, and it requires reflection, and it requires the work, and it requires respecting the people around you. And so with that, we love you.
Love you.
We're so excited. And we hope that this has been illuminating. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.